Hi, my name is Jasmina and I am a yoga teacher at YYOGA, and I also lead teacher trainings for YYOGA. And I am here today to take you through some poses that you can modify if you experience knee sensitivity or if you have a knee injury. So we'll go through some poses that you will find in pretty much all of the yoga classes that you'll take, whether it's a flow class or a power class or hatha or hot. A lot of classes will start with child's pose, which can be quite, which can induce suffering if your knees hurt already, and perhaps you get a little panicked if you're being asked to put into a shape like that. At home, for example, if you don't have, because I'll ask you to use some props, and at home, if you don't have a bolster like this, you can get creative. You probably have a sofa at home with some removable cushions that you can use. If not, a blanket, and we have yoga blankets, of course, at the studio, but at home you can use any blanket, folded nicely, that can give you some padding for your knees. So for child's pose, and if you're in a hatha class at the studio, for example, or at home, obviously you have access to your nice bolster, and you might find that placing it in between your sitting bones and your heels behind your knees will help. Something that you can try. So we'll start that. And sometimes just getting the props in place is harder than doing the actual pose itself. So as you get your prop in place, simply let your forehead come forward, slide your hands forward, and invite your forehead to settle into the floor. And you'll take a few deep breaths in and out, and you'll see if that works for you. If you notice that your knees actually hurt underneath, you might just simply require some padding, and this is where your blanket will come in. So you'll use your blanket and you'll place it underneath your knees, and you might find that that makes your child's pose a little more bearable and enjoyable. And anytime, if the knee pain, for example, gets intense or it starts to arrive, please take yourself out of the posture so that you don't make things worse. So child's pose is one really common shape that you'll find in class. Often also you'll find cat-cow is a way to start most classes, and for you at home, it's a really nice way to get into the breath. It's a beautiful way for you to start moving your body and to warm up your body, especially if you practice early in the morning. And for tabletop, you can set yourself up and again use your blanket, and you'll come onto your hands and your knees. And place your hands underneath your shoulders, fingers spread wide, and you just might find that here the cushioning underneath your knees will already help. And another trick is to tuck your toes under, and that will take some pressure out because you can use your toes to help you. And you'll move through your cat-cow. With your inhale, you'll lift your eye gaze, tailbone high. And with your exhale, you'll round your upper back, belly towards your spine, and chin in towards your chest. And you can do that a few times. Inhale, eye gaze, tailbone lift. And with your exhale, round your upper back. So those are simple cat-cow movements with a modification. If you have knee sensitivity, just to pad your knees with a blanket. All right. Some other options for you, and you'll find in most classes and practices that you'll take online with YYOGA that you will be asked to move into lunges, whether they're forward-facing lunges or perhaps you're moving through warrior two positions. And what's really important is to keep your knee in line with your ankle. And I'll speak to this just really briefly, and then I'll show you how to modify for those types of positions. So what yoga does for you, which is actually really beautiful, is that it gives you an opportunity to pay attention to how you plant yourself in physical space and to really tune into how you're aligning your physical body, one body part with the other. You want to ensure that your knee always stays in line with the center of your ankle. And with your knee in line with the center of your ankle, you want the center of your ankle to be in line with your second and third toes. Front foot points straight forward. One of the challenges can be with knee injuries is that perhaps is originating from what's happening in your feet. Obviously, a doctor will help assess that for you. But keeping your knee, ankle in line with your second and third toes. The knee has a tendency to drift when your mind drifts. Yoga will pull you back, and aligning your physical body where you stay in that healthy therapeutic alignment is a way of pulling yourself back into the present moment. So, low lunges. Oftentimes, if your front knee, so if your right knee, for example, is sensitive, it's not necessarily going to bother you here, but you want to make sure that in yoga practice, you don't injure it. Keeping your knee, ankle aligned with the space between your second and third toes. You might find that your back knee here gets sensitive. And a simple, really quick solution is to tuck your yoga mat in from the long edge. And it just looks like this. You just pull your mat over, place it underneath your knee, and that should give you enough padding. The other option is to take high lunge. Just lift your knee up a little bit, and you don't have to put any pressure onto your knee, which is a little harder, but that's okay. When you bring your knee down, keep your toes tucked under, and you can transition nicely out of your lunge poses from there. Next up would be Warrior 2. So in Warrior 2, the positioning again stays the same. Knee over ankle, and you want to make sure that your knee aligns with the center of your ankle and with the space between your second and third toes. Your back knee lifts, and you'll position your back foot in a way where you turn your back toes forward slightly. This is important to, again, align your hip, your knee, and your ankle bone in a way where you're not putting any weird forces into your knee joint. So when you bring yourself up, in your Warrior 2 position, what happens is the knee will drift. And again, this happens for various reasons. Maybe from your foot and the arches not being strong enough yet. Perhaps these muscles along your inner thigh are tight, or perhaps the muscles in your outer hip are weak, or it's a combination of all three. Look at your front foot when you're practicing, and you take the first few poses always nice and slow so that you can really pay attention to how you're placing yourself here on your yoga mat. Your big toe pulls energetically towards your inner heel, and you get this really nice lift in the inner arch of your foot. That will really help. And at the same time, you want to counterbalance with the strength of your outer right hip. So squeezing your right glutes will help bring your right knee to the right and keep it in line. Now, focusing just on the front leg, there's stuff happening in your back leg. If you have been blessed with the ability to really hyperextend in your joints, knees and elbows, here with your back leg, you want to make sure that it stays a little fluid, that you're not pressing the back of your knee beyond its healthy position. So keeping a micro bend and then using the strength of your upper leg muscles to pull the kneecap up towards your hip. Well, number one, protect your knee. And number two, makes you do a little bit more work. So your Warrior 2 position then, once you have yourself all aligned, arms up, eye gaze across the tip of your right middle finger, 5 breaths, and you're good to go. Other shapes that will come probably towards the end of your class can be back bends. And one of the back bends that gets taught that you might practice at home, you might find in the flows and the sequences that you're taking online, is camel pose or ustrasana. And again, it's a shape where you're standing on your knees. Same thing as when we were on hands and knees and tabletop. All we need to do here and all you need to do is to simply take a blanket underneath your knees. So again, you have to get your props. Place your blanket and let your knees come up onto the blanket. Having your toes tucked under, super helpful, because you can use the strength of your feet to take the pressure out of your knees. And you'll take your ustrasana or your camel pose, your back bend here with your knees padded and cushioned, which is really lovely. So as you come into this shape, again, if you have any knee pain, you'll bring yourself out, but you might find that, okay, that this works for you. You'll allow your rib cage to lift up and away from your pelvis, core stays engaged. You might come into your beautiful, simple back bend from here, nothing crazy. And when you're ready, you'll come out, untuck your toes, and you might sit on your heels. If that is too much for you, you'll take your prop, your pillow or your bolster, and you can place it between your seat and your heels. So those are some great modifications that you can play with when you're practicing at home or when you have time to come to the studio. and see how that works for you. So thank you for watching and for participating, and I hope those modifications help you practice on a regular basis. My name is Jasmina. I teach for YYOGA, and I am on teacher training faculty as well.